Hey guys, I thought you might be interested in seeing my 4 favorite bucks that I've shot that I've got mounted. I don't mount very many deer or bears because I'd rather spend the money on going on another hunt. But I do have these 4 mounted and I'll give you some bonus racks I'll show you too. And I just thought you might be interested in this, so I'll kind of walk you through. And the first one is this buck right here, which is a Montana buck that I shot in, I think it was 2011 or 12, I forget, somewhere back in there. And I was trying to shoot a buck in velvet. I always wanted to get a nice buck in velvet. And so I went to Montana, and I was in southeast Montana, and I saw this buck the first day of the deer season, the archery bow season. All these are archery kills. I saw this buck on opening day, and he was in velvet, and I didn't get a shot. He was too far out in the field. And then on the next morning, he came by my stand, and he was completely hard antlered, and I'm like, well, I'm not going to pass up a buck like that. So I went ahead and shot him and continued my quest for a velvet whitetail, which you'll see that was accomplished here. You'll see in just a minute. This buck right here is a buck that I shot in Manitoba, and I named this buck Lucky because he eluded me for a year. I hunted for a week there, and I saw this buck multiple times before the season and during the season. And I guess you could say this buck was just charmed because I would hunt one stand where he's coming out in the alfalfa field, and then he'd come out in a different place, and then I'd hunt that one and he'd come out in a different place. So anyway, this was a place in Manitoba where I had permission to hunt, and it was a guy that I hunted bears with for many years, and then he allowed me to hunt whitetails on his property. He had quite a bit of property and a bunch of alfalfa land. That I don't remember the year I shot that buck, but I finally got him the second year I went back and shot him. All right, let's go look at some more. So these 2 deer here are the next featured bucks, I guess you'd say. And speaking of hunting in Manitoba on this private land that I had permission on, that is where I eventually shot this velvet buck. And I got a video on my YouTube channel about getting this buck. And I just happened to be in the right place at the right time. I was hunting this deer, and he moved out of the field that I was hunting, and then I happened to have a trail camera about 1.5 miles away, I think it was, and then he ended up being on that trail camera. And then I was out early in the morning, right at daylight, scouting, and sure enough, he ran across the road in front of me. He was going towards an area that I had permission to hunt. And so I got in a stand up there that evening, and sure enough, he came out and I got him. And unfortunately, I got this whole hunt on video, except that when I drew my bow, I bumped the camera arm and didn't actually get the shot on video. But yeah, that was really cool. Finally got that velvet buck. Always wanted to get a velvet deer, and there he is. So this buck right here is one of several that I shot in Kansas, and that's a public land deer that I was hunting. There was a place down there in Kansas that I used to go every year and hunt public land down there, and this is one of the bucks that I shot there. It's the biggest one, and I have never scored any of these bucks. I think this one's around 140-ish or something like that, which is pretty nice for a public land buck. I've shot several others in that same area, but public land whitetails was my specialty for many years. I think I got that one in 2013, and I'll show you some bonus deer here too. So those are my 4 favorite ones, but let me show you some bonuses. So this is another deer that I shot in Manitoba on Tom's land. Actually ended up shooting it on the same hayfield that I shot the other 2. And man, I passed up a lot of nice deer up there, but this one ended up being one that was just late season. It was cold, and I was ready to go home, and so it's a nice 9-pointer. So I took him. This is a Texas deer. I've shot 2 management deer in Texas on the Duval County Ranch. And those deer, a management deer is a deer that's 5 years of age or older and 8 points or less. And so that's just one of them that I shot. This was not a bow kill. The rest of them are all bow kills. All right, I'll show you some other racks too out in the garage. Hang tight. All right, this is kind of a jumble here. It's kind of a mess, but these are all racks of 120 to 130 inch deer that I shot on public land with a bow and decided not to have them mounted. There's, I don't know how many's here, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11 it looks like. And these are just some mostly pretty average bucks that I've shot over the years. And they're public land deer, like I said. And I don't know, I suppose there's people who would mount those deer, but like I said, I just would prefer, instead of spending the money on a mount and trying to find a place to put it, I'd rather spend the money on another deer hunt. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. I know it's short, and I just thought you'd get a kick out of it because people ask about it from time to time. So thanks for watching.